integrate these affirmations into yourself so that you can really live and embody everything that you know is true in your mind. Now you feel it in your heart. Now you feel it in your body. Now you feel it in your entire being that you are living this. You are worthy of success. You are worthy of greatness. You are worthy of everything that you need. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of a great, wonderful, prosperous life. I am, and so are you. And so living in that energy and trusting in it. I'll just get straight into it. So I wrote down everything that I've been working on regarding trust as of recently. So I wrote this all down as a way to help myself heal and work through past trauma while also sharing what I've learned to help others who resonate with the topic of trust and trust issues. So I'll get straight into it. For the past several months, I've been working on trust. I've been developing better trust within myself and in the divine. For the majority of my life, I've been distrustful. Not necessarily to other people, although I have always been more guarded, more private, but I'm talking about distrustful of myself and distrustful of the divine creator. It started as these things usually do when I was a young child. It started with my parents. I have plenty of memories of being a toddler and a young child, and all the way up into my young adult years where I'd ask my parents for something and they say yes to it, but didn't deliver on it. And now I want to be clear. This wasn't the case. This wasn't a case where I was neglected or anything like that. It's just that, my parents, they had a lot on their plate. So these are cases where my parents genuinely did their best, but something else came up and they forgot because they had a lot on their plate, or they didn't have the money or the resources or stuff like that. And so my parents were great, and they still are great. But these experiences where they forgot to get me something that they had promised me, or that they didn't have, or they said they would, but they didn't have the means for getting me, or that they told me they'd get, times like that, where other times where like they'd tell me that they'd pick me up from school or basketball practice, but they showed up way later than the time that they said they would. And like I said, they did their absolute best, but eventually I had to acknowledge that these experiences did scar me on a subconscious level. And so for context, I have 4 other siblings, and my only brother has special needs. So it's already a handful for my parents to deal with right there. Plus, when I was in middle school, going into high school, the 08-09 economy crashed, stock market, housing market, and everything crashed. And that was tough. But plus, I believe it was, a couple years later, after that, my older sister, she suffered a bad knee injury playing high school basketball. And then in my sophomore year, sophomore year of high school, in 2010, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so with all this stuff happening throughout the span of a few years, on top of my brother already having special needs and my 2 sisters being very young, my 2 youngest sisters being very young, this was a very tough time for my family. But I was very understanding of it all, though. I didn't complain about it. I didn't complain about not getting what I wanted or wonder why things were so tough for us. I just accepted the reality, and I did my best, just like my mom and my dad did their best. However, in accepting this reality as it was, I didn't know how to properly sit with my emotions and actually heal from everything. Because although I was understanding of everything, I wound up suppressing the majority of my emotions because I didn't know any other way to handle them. So I was only 13 to 15 at this time, and the specific emotions I'm talking about right now that led to my inherent distrust were emotions of frustration, disappointment, hopelessness, despair, and helplessness. So during those times, I began to expect to be disappointed when I asked my parents for something. I began to identify with the hopelessness and the frustration. I began to feel apathy towards life itself because I had repeated experiences of feeling forgotten about, left to be taken care of last. And I felt like my needs weren't really met or as important as the rest of my family's. Because my mom was going through literally a life-threatening challenge, My older sister was going through her tough physical challenges. My brother was he's been dealing with special needs challenges all his life. And my two younger sisters weren't old enough to take care of themselves. So as the oldest son, as someone who wasn't going through any major challenges at the time, I felt like I had to do my part in making sure that everyone else around me was good before I checked in with myself. And since I got used to the disappointment and feeling left behind and starting to believe that my feelings didn't really matter, I knew that my parents and my family cared for me and would do anything they could for me. I was and forever will be grateful for them and their unconditional love. But within myself, I felt that everyone else came first before me, and I had to put myself last in order to make sure we all survived and made it through the challenges. And quick side note, I remember there'd be times where like we'd go out to eat to a restaurant and I'd order something simple off the menu because I was a very, very picky eater back then. I didn't like most, meat. I didn't like a lot of things. And I'd order something very simple while the majority of my family got something, not like extravagant or anything, but they just got something more, less simple. And I didn't realize it at the time, but this was a manifestation of how I was already expecting to be disappointed, because I would always get my food last, even though I ordered the most simple thing. And there may be a logical reason for that and stuff like that, but I would always get my food last, almost no matter what I ordered. And that feeling of expecting to have everyone else taken care of before I take care of myself or I get taken care of, that was just like a small little manifestation of that. But I got used to things being tough. Going with my parents to the hospital, wondering if I was gonna have to wait for an hour or more to get picked up from school or basketball practice when I was told that I'd be picked up on time, or bracing myself to have to be hungry and wait for at least 30 minutes or an hour or more after practice when my dad said he'd be a few minutes late, or having no clue when I'd be picked up when our phone service was shut off, or in times when we had to go without power, electricity, or sometimes we go without running water for short periods of time, a few days at a time, something like that. I got used to having to rough it out, and that's what I came to expect from life. And because of that, I was depressed before I even knew what depression was. I didn't realize that I was carrying around with me the weight of feeling like a burden if I didn't put others, especially my family, before myself. And on top of that, having hoop dreams of playing in the NBA or at least playing professionally and feeling like that was the only way I'd be able to really help my family, it was a lot for me personally that I didn't know how to handle back then. And also, I hated school, and to add to that, that was when I first started becoming aware of how corrupt Western society was, starting to really understand how things worked in this reality, in this society. And I hated school. I dreaded going every day, but I felt like I needed it because I thought that it was the only way for me to really play basketball and do what I love and be able to take care of my family as I got older. So this is another topic for another video, that specifically, but instead of going down that rabbit hole, I want to focus on the topic of trust and how my distrust affected my entire life moving forward. So having those experiences of disappointment and hopelessness led me to developing a distrust towards my parents from a young age. And as I went through my spiritual awakening towards the end of high school, when I was about 17 or 18 years old, I didn't have the answers to go back to, I didn't have the awareness to go back to do shadow work or inner child healing. I didn't start my healing journey until I took a break from college when I was about 20 or 21 years old. But even then, I didn't have the awareness to heal my inner child. And so I did a whole lot of shadow work, but I didn't get the inner child. I didn't get to my inner child then. So I did my shadow work, but I didn't really get to my inner child healing. And so I continued carrying the subconscious belief that I'm not worthy of things that I really want, that I'm not worthy of having my needs met before others. I even went as far as believing that a man's feelings don't really matter to those around him. So, on a very deep level, I felt unworthy of love and that my feelings and my experiences weren't really valid unless they led me to accomplishing my goals of becoming a successful basketball player. So, I didn't recognize any of this within myself, and it affected my life in every single aspect. I didn't open up to many people. I constantly felt misunderstood by nearly everyone in my life. I didn't speak much. I didn't express myself at all I didn't express myself at all except through writing, which is no reason why I wrote all this stuff out right here. I didn't have any romantic relationships until I was 23 years old. I had the desire to connect deeply with others and especially a romantic partner, but I didn't know how to do that in a healthy way. And so, also just moving forward, I felt isolated and alone, even when surrounded by others who loved me. I felt like no matter what, things just wouldn't work out for me, no matter how hard I tried. That's how I felt. In other words, my root chakra, my sacral chakra, my solar plexus, my throat chakra, those three were all shut and closed down. I had the belief that I had to struggle for everything that I had, and survival is difficult. And that's what led to my root chakra closing. As a teenager and a young adult, I didn't express or act on my sexual desires in healthy ways, which led to my sacral chakra being closed as well. And I didn't express myself besides in writing to myself. Like I didn't share my writings with anyone, I just wrote to myself. So I didn't express myself besides in writing to anyone besides myself. And I suppressed the majority of my emotions growing up, which led to my solar plexus being closed. I didn't speak much, and I definitely didn't speak up for myself, which led to my throat chakra being closed as well. And so the chakras that remained open were my heart, my third eye, and my crown chakras. I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier. Four chakras that were closed. So the chakras that remained open were my heart, my third eye, my crown chakras. My heart was open and it remained open for connection with others, but I only connected well with very select few people because I didn't express myself or communicate myself well at all. And so my third eye was open, and during solitude, I grew accustomed to being alone with my thoughts and focusing more on daydreams and the dream world at night, exploring the astrals and everything at night. I focused more on that. And that became more of an escape from everyday life for me. My crown chakra was open and it allowed me to find knowledge within myself and channel information from higher realms, but I relied too much on myself and nearly shut myself off from seeking advice from others. So since I wasn't grounded due to a closed root chakra, I let my inherent distrust affect my view of myself. I second-guessed myself and my own decisions, and I moved away from trusting my intuition. I was confused internally, but I thought that I had myself figured out when I really did not at all. So, as a result of all of this, I stopped living my own life by letting my parents and others around me influence my decision-making. I was lost and I didn't realize it. I was lost because I lost trust in the divine. I knew that my intuition was the divine speaking directly to me, but I didn't have enough trust to act on what it was telling me and what it was telling me what was best for myself. It took me falling into an even worse depression to finally take my power back and start making my own decisions for myself. But even then, it took me 6, almost 7 years to finally begin regaining the trust that I had abandoned years and years ago. This particular part of my healing journey began when I was having a conversation with my close friend, someone who I call my brother. I was expressing something that I was going through and working on healing from. He picked up on the lack of worthiness within myself, and he highlighted that aspect of myself that needed attention. So I focused on healing that aspect of myself, and I started to regain the sense of worthiness for myself that I had also abandoned when I was a child. Then I met an amazing woman who I'm grateful to be friends with. She can see extremely well in the spirit, and she saw that I had issues surrounding trust. Now, my first girlfriend felt the same within me, but I wasn't in a place within myself to actually come close to acknowledging the aspect of myself yet. But years later, after I began focusing on self-worth, then I was able to see and acknowledge the issues that I had with trust. So, quick side note, this shows how the healing journey is just that, a journey. There's no skipping steps, and we face everything that we need to face within ourselves when we're ready to. So for me, I was ready to see the aspect of myself that needed to heal the trust issues only after I felt that I was genuinely worthy of healing deeply. So I had to feel worthy of healing in order to actually get to the aspect of trust that I needed to heal. So I had to give up identifying with suffering and allow myself to be open to actually receiving what I needed. I had to allow myself to see that I don't have to suffer. I don't have to suffer. I don't have to be a martyr. I don't have to sacrifice my needs for others. I don't have to accept less and keep doing the best I can despite not having what I need in order to thrive. I had to accept that on a very deep level that I can do more than just survive. I can do more than just survive. I had to really allow myself to actually realize that. And I can actually live and be happy and embody joy and gratitude. I can do that. I can actually live a life of not only giving love, but also receiving love. And in order to live that life of genuine love and feeling supported and connecting well with others and expressing myself fully, I first needed to trust. Trust in myself and trust in the divine. I needed to trust that things can and will be amazing for me, that life can be great for me and all of my loved ones as well, that I can have a new standard of life that involves receiving everything that I need to thrive, like fully fulfill my purpose. And the instructions that my friend gave me were to simply sit with trust. Sit with the feeling of trust. Sit with it, observe it, and understand it, then understand it. And I did that, and I realized that I've been getting in my own way this whole time. I've been preventing myself from the life that I see myself living. I see myself living a life where I have everything that I need in abundance, where I'm traveling the world and experiencing everything that I like to experience, where I'm connecting with so many amazing souls to share who share similar life missions and whose missions complement mine as I complement theirs. I see myself effortlessly providing for myself and for my family and making it to where my parents don't have to ask for anything or don't have to do anything besides live how they desire to live. I see myself having a family of my own and sharing a long and wonderful life with my beautiful divine partner. I see that and so much more amazing stuff in my life. And one of the main things that I need to have in order to experience that life is trust. I must trust that everything that I just expressed is possible for me. I need to trust that as long as I do my part and listen to my intuitive guidance, that the divine creator will do its part as well. So I'll end this video with some affirmations, or at least end this portion of the video with some affirmations. And I'd love for you to utilize these affirmations for yourself as well. So I'm going to read them and give a little space so that you can repeat them to yourself after I say them. So repeat after me. I trust in the divine creator. I trust in the divine intelligence that is my intuition. I trust that I am worthy and deserving of everything that I need. I trust that I am worthy of receiving everything that I need. I trust that my path forward is being revealed to me. I trust that everything is moving in harmony with the divine flow. allow myself to receive. I allow myself to be in harmony with the divine. I allow myself to embody divine trust. And the last one, I allow myself to be one with the divine creator. So, if any of this resonated with you, I'd love for you to let me know in the comments. You can reach out to me through Instagram as well. And I'm here for those of you who are taking the steps to become the highest version of yourself. So, just kind of sitting with everything and allowing myself to feel this energy of fully trusting again. Where I'm at right now with it is that full integration, because it's one thing to say these affirmations. It's one thing to, have these affirmations playing in our minds, but it's a whole other thing. On a higher level, it's a whole other thing to actually live these affirmations, to actually integrate these affirmations into yourself so that you can really live and embody everything that you know is true in your mind. Now you feel it in your heart. Now you feel it in your body. Now you feel it in your entire being that you are living this. You are worthy of success. You are worthy of greatness. You are worthy of everything that you need. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of a great, wonderful, prosperous life. I am, and so are you. And so living in that energy and trusting in it. Like I said in one of my previous videos, there's a lag process, or there's a period of lag in between us deciding something for ourselves and that manifestation actually coming to fruition in this reality. And so a big part of trust, what I talked about in the last video, is trusting even throughout that period of lag, that period of latency. Because that's one of the ways that I've held myself back in the past as well, is losing trust and losing faith during those periods of lag and latency. When I said, I want this amount of money and I'm doing everything that I can to get that amount of money, or I want to get a new car, I want to travel here, I want to do this, I want to go see this person. When I said those things and I was doing, physically doing the actions to actually get to those things and receive those things, but I still wasn't seeing the results, that's when I started to really lose trust in myself and lose trust in the process, which is losing trust in the divine, losing trust in God. So I encourage you to stay patient within those periods of lag, within those periods of latency. Stay patient and continue staying diligent with whatever it is that you're doing, so that when that period of latency is over, you didn't abandon the mission. You didn't abandon ship. You stayed there. You stayed steadfast there. You stayed there, and you continue to do your thing. Continue to stay diligent. Continue to stay disciplined, so that whatever we seek is also seeking us. So when that thing that's seeking us finds us, we're in correct and perfect position to actually receive what it is that we were seeking out, what it is that we were trying to manifest, what it is that we wanted, what it is that we desired. So that's, I think, my final words on trust, is that trust leads to unshakable faith. Once you trust in the unseen, you trust in yourself, that faith of knowing what is coming, that faith of knowing that even if you don't know exactly what's coming, how it looks, you know that whatever it is going to be whatever is best for you. It's going to be an experience that can blow you away. Because again, any experience can be an amazing experience, no matter what you're doing. And if you trust that life is happening for you rather than happening to you, then you will know and you will experience life in its highest form. You will experience life as your highest self. You will experience life on your highest timeline. So with that, I'm going to say much love and wholeness to you all. I pray that you all receive everything that you need in order to succeed and be successful in life, in order to receive love, to be loved. And I pray that you're finding that worthiness within yourself. You're finding that reason to trust within yourself. I pray that you find that and that you stay in that you embody that you practice growing it more and more and more and more, so that it becomes unshakable and unfazable faith. So, sending this out with much love, gratitude, wholeness, honor, and respect. Ashe.